Hello fellow readers, I'm Stephanie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing my 2022 reading stats. I love looking at data and information like this and really seeing the trends. So I hope you enjoy it as well because I am very interested. So I did this last year as well. So if you're interested in seeing my 2021 stats, then I can link that video down below for you. And I'll be using a similar approach this year, just kind of going to my story graph and reviewing the data. I also have my story graph linked down below if you want to be friends on there. But yeah, if you enjoy information like this, have any similar trends on yours, please let me know down below. I would be so interested to see what your stats were like, and if we had any similar genres or typical page counts and stuff like that. I'm so interested to see what all of you read as well. So that being said, please leave your comments down below, and like and subscribe if you like this video. Anyways, let's get started. So kicking it off at the top, I did set my reading goal to 100 books because I read 200 last year, but I didn't want to pressure myself to reading 200 this year as well, just because I did last year. And so I wanted my goal to be 100 just to meet it. And it's still a challenge enough. Reading even 12 books in a year is more than most people. So I felt like it was okay to lower it a bit. But I did end up reading 202 books total. So I am definitely over that and met that goal. Similarly, the 40 pages or 40,000 pages, I think that was just the auto number that was put in there based off of the 100 books. So I really have no idea, but I did beat that as well. And I got about 60.5K pages. So that is very awesome that I met all my goals. Let's see, going down to moods. So emotional is my top one. And really, what does that mean? What is emotional? I don't know. Okay. Mysterious, that one makes sense. I do like reading some mysteries and thrillers and stuff like that, so that makes sense. Adventurous, that's kind of funny. I think this was in my top ones last year too, and it's maybe I'm just trying to get adventure through these books and live through other people, because I don't think of myself as adventurous, but all right. Oh, that's cute. Lighthearted. Okay, I like that one. It's cute. And then the next one is dark. That's funny that they're both almost the same amount of lighthearted and dark things. So apparently I just really like balance in my life. Next we have funny, tense, hopeful, reflective, and then it gets even less. So okay, I don't know necessarily what to feel about this. This emotional, I feel is really throwing me off. Emotional, mysterious, and adventurous. I'm what do those even mean? Let's look at emotional. Okay, some of these I did get emotional too, but most of these, what does emotional even mean? I don't know how I feel about that. Anyways, let's go back. Let's look at adventurous because I'm curious to see. Okay. I feel these books just kind of fall, everything falls into those, is what I'm gathering. So okay, those are my moods at least. Pace, medium, fast, and slow. Definitely makes sense. I'm kind of surprised that there isn't more fast, but medium and fast are the two that I would definitely agree I read. I don't like a lot of slow books, but let's look at what these are because I don't. Oh, I guess so. Interesting. I feel some of these, okay, yeah. Some of these I kind of agree with, but other than that, I'm also kind of I feel they're just putting slow burn romances in slow, which I wouldn't necessarily I don't think it a slow burn romance just has to be slow paced. So I don't know about those, but like definitely, like for example, this one, definitely agree. This one I was like, can we do anything with this book? So okay. I guess there are more slow paced than I thought, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with all of those. I don't know. Anyways, ultimately fast and medium, that makes sense. Page number, okay, definitely makes sense. Most of the books I read are definitely in this 300 to 500 page range, so makes complete sense. Very few over 500 plus also makes sense. I don't love big long books, but sometimes they're necessary. And then I love a good short book. If this was even higher, I'd be okay with it. So okay, let's see what's in here. Oh, yep. Sarah J. Maas, Babel. Makes sense. Makes sense. Yep. Those are definitely over 500. Makes sense. All right. Fiction versus nonfiction. Yeah. 97% fiction sounds about right. I like fiction. Nonfiction, I did read quite a few nonfiction. Let's see what they are. Okay. Yep. Yep. Love that. Love that. Love that. Love that. Love it. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. I feel like a goal of mine that I want for this next year is to read more nonfiction. Like I only read 7 in this past year, and like I did clearly enjoy them. So I feel like I should be reading more and like trying it out more. So maybe that will be one of my goals for this next year. Yeah. All right. Okay, genres. This is interesting. Romance and contemporary like kind of blew everything else out of the water, and I'm just going to say I don't really feel like I'm a romance girly. Like if you see my 23 books to read in 2023, like I mention it there as well, but I'm like I there's so many like romance books that I see like on TikTok or like on BookTube that I'm like, I'm kind of scared to get to these. Like, I want to read them clearly because they're so popular, but like, I'm kind of scared to get to them. Like, I don't know what to pick up or like what's worth my money and all that stuff. So it's really interesting that my top by far is romance because I don't feel like a romance girly. But okay, I guess. I mean, I like things that have romance in them. Like, I'd prefer for there to be a romance in like a fantasy or, some kind of story rather than there being no romance. But yeah, I don't feel like I read only romance. I don't know. Contemporary. That's also surprising because I feel like I don't like contemporary. But maybe I just have a misunderstanding of what contemporary is because I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Most of these I would just like consider romance. Is this really contemporary? Is that not like fantasy-ish? Like yeah, a lot of these are just like what I would consider romance. So I guess like subgenre is contemporary. So it makes sense, I guess, if romance is the highest and a lot of things are also marked contemporary, that's also up there. Young adult and fantasy, it's interesting that these are so close. And like I guess that makes sense because I like get a lot of like YA fantasy like book boxes. And so like I guess I do read a lot of those like kind of intertwined. So I guess that makes sense. I'm kind of sad that like I mean 58 is still a lot, but like kind of sad that's not higher up on the list. So maybe that's another goal for next year. I don't know. All right, 5th place though, LGBTQIA plus. Let's go. Very happy that this made it into like the top 5. But it also definitely makes sense because I did like all of June was just like reading LGBTQI plus books. So that definitely makes sense why it's so high. After that, we have thriller and mystery. Again, I don't know. I wish these were kind of higher maybe that's another thing that I need to take note of into like 2023 is like I want to read more mystery thrillers. I feel like there are so many that like seem intriguing and that I want to read, but like clearly like in comparison to other things, I don't read it enough. So that might be something I need to look at even more. If you have like any really good suggestions, please let me know down below because clearly I need to bump this up. Next one is historical though, and I feel like that's kind of unexpected. Like I don't think of myself as like a historical fiction girly either. And so I'm kind of surprised that there are 22 and that this is like what my like 7th, 8th like top one. I'm very intrigued. I need to see. Okay. I guess I can see it. Like this one I would consider fantasy. Like it has to do with dragons and stuff. Like I would consider that fantasy, not historical fiction. And like I guess it could be historical as well, but like it's not what my mind would like gravitate towards for the genre of it, you know? Like this one makes sense. It's like set in World War II. Like that's the whole premise of the book. So like makes sense that it's historical fiction. Like I guess this one again, like it is historical, but it's also like other stuff too. Like again, Magnolia Palace makes sense. Curious Beginning, yeah, makes sense. But also I would think like mystery. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Like I don't know. And like this romance is what I would consider it, but like I guess it is historical as well, but like I would consider it romance, right? So like okay, this is interesting. I feel like this is like another one that's kind of like bumped up where it shouldn't necessarily be. I don't know. It's not like I guess one of the main genres I would think of, but I guess okay. Okay. I guess I did read that many historical. And then also interesting horror. So I don't think I read that many horror. Like literally going into this year, I don't know if I listed it on my specific goals or if I just like had it in my head, but I wanted to read more horror because I feel like it's a genre that I haven't really like stepped into. And so I was interested in reading and I'm kind of surprised that there's 17. Let's see what's in here. Is that though? I don't know. Okay, so like Riley Sager makes sense. Like this one makes sense. Some YA like horror is in there, makes sense. Again, Riley Sager, like T. Kingfisher, that makes sense. Bunny, like okay, some of these are making sense. I guess so. I guess I did read that many. But still, I feel like I haven't really delved into this genre very much. So if you have any horror suggestions, please let me know because I need them. And then everything else is pretty small. Um, so yeah, those are the main ones. I do like that like my list here is so long. Like I'm really getting a good variety of books and maybe like they are still concentrated in certain areas, but like I do appreciate that I'm like kind of stepping out and like looking at different types of books as well. So that's something I definitely want to carry into this next year as well. Just gain like a nice variety. Let's see, format. So I will say, just like a disclaimer, for print and digital, I will rank those as my primary ones, even if I like also listen to the like audio while following along in the book, just because that's how I prefer to like look at it and like have that data. But probably likely many of these also had audio associated with them. So all right, print makes sense. I do have a lot of books. I get a lot of books from book boxes and stuff like that, which are always kind of like my go-to books to like read. So it definitely makes sense. Let's see, most read authors. A lot of these make sense as well. Like I had the whole video about like my first time reading Colleen Hoover, so that makes sense. I did have like a video idea where I read all of like Riley Sager's backlist and I never posted it. But I did read like all of them, which makes sense why he's up here then. And also if you're like still interested in seeing that video, let me know because like I'd be happy to post it after the fact. But I just I don't know what happened. I just didn't get to it. So I did not post that one. Ellie Hazelwood, I read a lot of her like little novellas this year. So that makes sense why it's so high. It wasn't like full books, it was the novellas. I did read this person's 3 books that I knew of. They were just like quick, short, easy, simple. So it's not like someone that I would say like I really went out of my way to like read, but like it just was easy to throw in the background. T. Kingfisher, love. Also had this whole video idea for T. Kingfisher, and then I just never posted it. So again, if you're interested in that, let me know. And then yeah, just some other authors that I read 2 books of. Okay. Here we are at the number of books and pages. It's very interesting how like these are so like wave-like. I feel like last year I I had like spikes and like peaks and valleys, but this one is like a lot more just like wavy, so that's very interesting. I definitely peaked in like March, had a couple other peaks in like June and October, and then like my lowest reading, unfortunately, December. There's just been a lot going on that like I have not been able to read as much. But also like April and May were pretty short too, so that's interesting. And then the pages read, also very wavy. Or no, those were pages. Okay. All right. Apparently I just like read shorter books in this time period or something. But yeah, the book's a little bit more consistent over time. We do still have that like decrease in December though. And life's just been tough, is all I gotta say. But yeah, and then there is only like one spot where the pages went under the count of books. So I guess that just means that I read more shorter books in this month. So yeah, anyways, that's interesting. I like looking at these graphs. I find them so interesting. So love that. And then probably the most interesting stat to look at, probably not the most interesting, but like the most like results oriented one, star ratings. So my average rating was 3.66. I will say I feel like I am a bit harsh on books, so it makes sense that it's like still a bit lower, but like it's also kind of sad. Like I wish that I had more higher rated books. So maybe that's another thing to think about in this next year, because like I want this to be higher. I want to have more books that I absolutely love. And so I think I need to like think of how to go about that, like really making sure that the books that I'm reading are things I'm going to love, because I feel like sometimes it's hard. Like obviously you can never know how you're going to like a book until you get through it. But yeah, I don't know. I just wish that was higher. I do like these numbers definitely make sense. I like to rate a lot of books like between 3.5, 3.75, and 4, for like those that like I thought they were good, but like I'm not obsessed with them. And so, like 4 I would say is like a really solid book still. And then like just getting up to 5 is like it's exceptional. So I feel like being kind to books, I try to rank them here. Um, so it makes sense that those are kind of like the highest area. And I am actually surprised that I had so many 5 stars. I did not realize that I had so many 5 stars. That like makes me happy. I'm like curious what's in here because I'm like, what? Okay. Okay. I definitely love that book. Oh my god, I was bawling at this book. I loved this. It's in like my feminist reading vlog video, and oh my gosh, I was like crying on camera. No joke. Like absolutely bawling. And that was like after the fact, like rereading it, I was still bawling. So definitely love that. Know My Name, so good. Just like the amount of learning about like the court system and like for sexual assault cases, like so like educational, so emotional. Like, this was so well written. It is like a memoir, and it was just like so good. So would highly suggest Legends and Lattes. Love that. Nettle and Bone, oh my gosh, probably like the most successful buddy read that I've had so far. Like, I loved this book so much. And like, again, right after that, What Moves the Dead by the same author, more memoirs. Verity, definitely still shocked today about that. Heartstopper, 2000, 2,000,000% out of 10. You know this was going to be on there. And yeah, some other books. I want to give it all away. So I'll just scroll back up to the top. I am going to be posting, if I haven't already, some videos like tier ranking my favorite books and like what my favorite books of the year are and stuff like that. So I won't show you all of them. But you'll have to check out that video for it. Well, those were my 2022 stats. Like I said, if you're interested in seeing what my 2021 ones were, you can check that video out down below. And really, I would love to know what your stats were. If you have any book suggestions for me, either to like continue reading some of these areas that I really love, or to help me get into a different variety of books. I feel like I posed a lot of questions out there for like, if you have any suggestions. So please let me know, because I am so intrigued and I want to continue, developing my reading taste and growing. So yeah. Anyways, I hope this was as fun for you as it was for me. Like I said, I love stats like this and I love seeing trends. And it's just very interesting to me. So hopefully it was interesting for you too. But either way, until next time, keep reading.